अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स। हमारा आज का जो टॉपिक है वो है फाइनाइट एलिमेंट मैथ। और इस मेथड का दूसरा नाम जो है वो डायरेक्ट स्टिफनेस मेथड क्यों कहते हैं, और इसको मैट्रिक्स मेथड भी कहते हैं, क्योंकि इस मेथड के अंदर आपके पास नंबर ऑफ मैट्रिसेस इन्वॉल्व होती हैं जिनको हम सॉल्व करते हैं और फिर उनको अप्लाई करते हैं अपने मेथड के दौरान। तो इस मेथड के ज़रिए हम तीन किस्म के स्ट्रक्चर्स को एनालाइज कर सकते हैं। ट्रसेस को भी एनालाइज कर सकते हैं, बीम्स को भी कर सकते हैं और फ्रेम्स को भी कर सकते हैं। फिर चाहे वो स्ट्रक्चर्स डिटर्मिनेट हों या इनडिटर्मिनेट हों, बहुत स्ट्रक्चर्स को इस मेथड के थ्रू आप इसको सॉल्व कर सकते हैं और यही मेथड है जो आपके पास बेसिकली बेसिक्स होता है किसी भी स्ट्रक्चरल सॉफ्टवेयर डिज़ाइन है उसकी बैकग्राउंड में जो प्रोग्रामिंग की जाती है वो इन्हीं मैट्रिसेस की बेस पे ही प्रोग्रामिंग की जाती है। तो सबसे पहले हम आज स्टार्ट करते हैं ट्रस के साथ। तो ट्रस को सॉल्व करने के लिए जो हम लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द पर्टिकुलर एग्जांपल। Suppose we are given with a trust having three members that is and that are connected with the roller sport and a pin sport. The length of the member, let's call A as 3 meters, length of member B as 4 meter, and the length of member C as 5 meter. So in this method, what you have to do is that you will first need to identify the nodes and the members. We will donates the nodes with the numbers, like donate one, that is called as node 1, where the members are connected, where one or two or more than two members are connected. And similarly we number the all the nodes or all the joints, they are numbered as 1, 2, 3, and so on, while all the members of the trust are numbered as in the alphabet, like member A, that is the member between joint 1 to 2, and the member B, which is between the nodes 1 and 3, and similarly the member C, which is between the node 2 and 3. You can do the numbering in any orders and number the nodes in any orders. But once you this numbering has been carried out, then you cannot change this numbering later on. So decide carefully and numbers the members and the nodes very carefully. Then you need to identify the origin of the axis where you want to place their origins, because in this raw methods we usually are related with the coordinates of the members, so it is important to identify the origins. So mostly in this case the member, I suppose the origin at the node A or the node 1, where the members are connected. So all the forces that are in the member node 1 above will be considered as positive x-axis and the below are the negative axis, and accordingly positive y-axis and positive negative x-axis. So I place the node axis here. You can place the origin at this point as well or at the point C as well. The difference comes is this due to this origins is basically in the first step of this method, which is called as the global element stiffness matrix. And the formula for this element stiffness matrix for the trusses is K. K denotes the element stiffness matrix, which is the smaller k, is equal to A E over L. A is the again the inertia or the area of the particular member. E is the elasticity of the member and L is the length of the member. So if all the members have the same area, then you can take it as a constant. And if the heavily members have a different cross-sectional area, you can input that value and find out later on what's the value comes out to be. Like in this case, it is given as the value of the factor AE over L is 40 into 10 raised to power 3 for all the members. And we have to analyze this stress by stiffness method, and we have required to find the displacement, the reactions, and the member forces or the bar forces in the truss. So the formula for the element stress is K is equal to AE over L, and the bracket starts with C square, CS in the diagonal as well, CS and in the other primary diagonal is S square, where C stands for cos theta and S stands for sin theta. And then we repeat these four values, same as that is in with the negative sign in the other second two values. That is positive C square becomes as negative C square, negative CS, and negative S square. And then we repeat these values in the diagonal as well. That is the same values repeated here, four values, and the other first four values are repeated here in the last four values. Why I am already mentioning these four values, because that at every node or in every member that we considered has two nodes, one, two ends, or I would say two ends or the two nodes, and each node has two coordinates, one in the x-axis and other in the y-axis. So one x-axis here, the other x-axis on the other node, one y-axis and the other y-axis. So total becomes out to be four nodes. So these are the four nodes, which is called as C square, CS, CS, and S square, where C is the cos theta and S is the sin theta. So first, what we are going to do with C square means you have to take the cos theta and multiply the cos theta with the cos theta, and you will get the value of C square. In the second step, you are going to multiply this cos theta with the sin theta, and third step as well sin theta and cos theta, and the last element is you are going to multiply sin theta with the sin theta to get the value of the S square. So once you know the value of these element stiffness matrix, you came to know that you need the values of four members, or the four that are the elements in the stiffness matrix. That is, you need to know the value of C square, CS, and S square. And you need these values for all members. As we have a three members, so you need in that you need the nine values. In the next step, you will formulate the direction cosine tables, which is basically the table which indicates the values of the sine square and the cos theta. Let's consider the member A, which is between the node 1 to 2, as I already mentioned here, and the value of its AEL is given as 40 into 10 raised to power 3 cube. Now, if we place the x-axis over here, the value of the theta with the x-axis is 0, as this member is indicated on the x-axis, so its angle will be 0. So cos 0 is 1, so that's why it is mentioned as C value is given as 1. Sin 0 is 0, so value of S square is 0. Once we multiply this value of 1 into 1, it comes out to be 1. And once you multiply this value of cos theta into sin theta, which is 1 into 0, it will become as 0. And once you take out the square of 0, it will also be 0. Similarly, we will repeat for the member B and C. For member B, it is between the node 1 and 3. And its value E over L is again given as 14 into 10 to the power 3 cube. And now the angle for this member, that is from origin, or from the origin, will become as 90 degrees. So cos 90 is 0, sin 90 is 1, and accordingly you will take the square of that at both sin theta and cos theta to find out the value of C square, CS, and F square. For member 3, or for member C, which is between the nodes 2 and 3, which is basically inclined members, its angle you need to find out, and the angle you will can find out with the help of the from the positive x-axis, or you can use the formula of theta is equal to tan inverse y by x. So once you take the tan inverse of 4 by 3 and take the cos of that theta, it comes out to be minus zero point 0.6. And once you take the sine theta of this tan inverse of 4 by 3, which is basically 36 point some degrees, and once you take the sine theta of that, it comes out to be zero point 0.8. And once you take the square of this minus zero point 0.6, it will come as 0.36. Minus into minus comes out to be positive. While when minus zero point 0.6 is multiplied with plus zero point 0.4, it will come out to be minus 0.48. And similarly, the square of 0.0 comes out to be 0.64. So while measuring the angle, always measure the angle from the positive axis for every member. So it is important to decide the location of the axis or the location of the origin. Once you know the values of these direction cosines, then we can easily write the element stiffness matrix for all members, that is member A, B, and C. Or I would call it as stiffness matrix between nodes 1 to 2, which is for member A. It will come as AE over L into the value of the C square is given as 1. So I would just put in as 1. The value of CS is 0. So it will come as 0. The value of again CS is 0. The value of S square is also 0. So it will come as 0. Then I am going to take the negative values of these on the other side and taking the diagonal of these values to complete the values of the element stiffness matrix. Once this stiffness matrix is completed, you should move towards the other member, that is K1 to 3. And for member 1 to 3, the value of the C square is 0. The value of CS is also 0. Excuse me. And the value of S square is 1. So we will put this value here as 1. And similarly, we repeat the other, complete the element stiffness matrix, and then we move towards the member 3 or the member C, which is 2 to 3, or called it as K to 3. It will become as 14 10 raised to power 3 into C square is given as 0.36, and CS is minus 0.48, minus 0.48, and 0.64. So you are just plugging these values of the C square, CS, and S square into the element stiffness matrix for each member. Once you know these values, as we mentioned that we move these values from K1 to 2. So we just mention the values here as U1, V1, U2, and V2 in both horizontal axis and in both vertical axis outside this element stiffness matrix for our easiness. Similarly, for K1 to 3, it will come as U1, V1, U3, V3, both in the x-axis or in the both in the rows and both in the column direction. That's it. Similarly, for K23, it will come as U3 or U2, U2, V2, U3, and V3, as already indicated here. I have explicitly mentioned them as here as well. So once we have these element stiffness matrix, in the next step, what we are going to do that we are going to assemble these element stiffness matrix into a single matrix, and we called it as global stiffness matrix. In writing the global stiffness matrix, what we do that we will first mention the outside the matrix as U1, V1, U2, V2, U3, V3, containing the all the nodes and their unknowns, both in the x-axis direction and in the y-axis directions. So for the values of U1, that is the first row, which is U1 in the x-axis and the y-axis, it's also U1. So we have to find out the value of U1 into U1. So here we have a U1 in the K1, so its value is given as 1. In other axis, we do not have any U1. We have here. That other in the second diagram, we have a value of its U, which is again U1 into U1. So these values are going to add up. That is 1 plus 0 comes out to be 1. Similarly, for V1 U1, V1, this is the V1, which is 0 into U1. That is first row, which is again 0. Similarly, when we move towards the other direction, its value is given as U1 V1. This is the U1 row, V1, this is 0. So it is going to be 0 plus 0, and it comes out to be 0. Similarly, when we move towards the U2 U1, it comes out to be -1, u2, v2 comes out to be 0, and we are going to add up all these values in the same way. If we have a single value, then the single value is repeated. If the value is added up, or the according to sign, if that is subtracted up, then it's going to be applied accordingly, solved accordingly. Once we have all these values, we call it as global stiffness matrix. Once we have the global stiffness matrix, in the fifth step, we write the stiffness equation. And the stiffness equation is P is equal to KD, where P is the load, K is the stiffness matrix, and D is the displacement matrix. In case of load matrix, we have loads in two directions. That is a 2D truss. So it is going to be P1x, P1y, P2x, P2y, P3x, and P3y. Here we have only the loads in the x and the y direction. There is no moment because truss do not carry any moments. So we are only, with the case of load matrix, we have only forces in, or the applied loads, or the applied values of the nodes, and the in both x and y directions. And then we got the element stiffness matrix K, which is the global stiffness matrix, which is the same, which is the calculated in the last step. So the same matrix will be repeated here. Then it is going to multiply with the displacement matrix. And the displacement matrix is U1, which is the displacement of the node 1 in the x directions, and the V1, which is the displacement of node 1 in the y directions, and similarly U2, V2, U3, V3. And the next step, once we have written these stiffness equations, then we are going to apply the compatibility. Compatibility means we need to identify where we have the known values and where we have the unknown values. Like for the P1x, if we see the node 1 here, let me remove this for easiness. Like if we see the node 1 here, we have a load of 60 kilonewton in the x direction at the node 1. So it will basically mean that we have a P1x of 60 kilonewton in the positive x-axis directions. And similarly, we have a load of 90 kilonewton, which is called as P1y, which is again acting on the node 1. While there is no loading on the node 2 and the node 3. So the value of that nodes will be equal to 0. So the value of P1x comes out to be 60, value of P1y comes out to be 90, while the value of the P2x comes out to be 0. This is the P2x, which is the roller. As we know that in the case of roller, we have only have a reaction in the vertical direction, which is the perpendicular to the rollers. So we only have this value of the load, which is basically reaction, and there is no loading in the x direction. Similarly, node 3, we have a pin. In case of pin, we have both reaction, both in the x and in the y. Let's call them as P3x and P3y, while P2y remains as it is. And then we are going to repeat the same value of this different matrix again, and then we have to identify the values of the unknowns. For if we have a node 1 which is between the two members, so at this point the members can deflect in both x direction and in the y direction as well. So the displacement is unknown here in the node 1. While at the node 2, we know that member can displace in the y direction, x directions, but it cannot displace in the y directions. So its value will be 0, which is V2. So in this case, V2 will be 0. While in case of node 3, which is pen, in this case, the member cannot deflect either in x direction or in the y direction. So we will have a 0 value of both V3 and U3. So we have V1, which is unknown. We have U1, which is also unknown. We have a V2, which is U2, which is also unknown. While the V2, we know that its value is 0. And for V3, it is again 0, and V3 is again 0 because there is a force. So this is called as the compatibility. That you put in the values of the all the known values into the stiffness equations. Remember that the points where you applied the of the joints where the loading is applied, the displacement is generally unknown at that point, while the nodes where we have the unknown reactions or we know not the values of the loading, we have the known values of the displacements. Like in this case, we know the value of the P1x, which is 60, but we know not the value of the U1. Similarly, we would know the value of P1y, but we do not know the value of the V1. And, and so on. If we know the value of, we do not know the value of P3y, but we know the value of V3. So in this case, from this step, we apply the compatibility equation. Compatibility equation means that we split our the matrices into two parts. That is, separate the known parts and the unknown parts from each other. So if we split, that is the three members, that is P1x, P1y, and P2x. And similarly, we are going to split this stiffness matrix as well. So above three lines are going, rows are going to separate out, and the next three rows are also going to be separate out. And again, mostly if we see that values of this value, which is again the 0, whenever these values are multiplied with the matrices, the last row of these values, it always comes out to be 0. So there is no need to mention this or multiply this second part. So once we apply these values of the knowns and unknowns, we comes out with the two equations. That is 60, which is 60, 90, and 0 comes out to be 40 into 10 raised to power 3 into this first 3 by 3 matrix, which is 101 and 010 minus 10 and 1.36. And it is going to multiply with the U1, V1, and U2. Similarly, that we called it as equation 1. In the next step, we are going to write these values, that is a P2x, P2y, and they are going to multiply with these first three values of the matrix, and they will be multiplied with these values of the unknowns. Because there is no need to multiply these values with these, because they are the values of the 0, so it will ultimately comes out to be 0. So we are going to write this 3 cross 3 matrix of the global stiffness matrix and multiply that with the U1, V1, and U2, and we called it as equation 2. Once we have formulated this equation 1 and 2 from the compatibility, then we are going to find out the displacements in these 7 steps. And for the calculation of the displacement, we are basically going to solve this equation 1 by using the matrices rule. And if we, it is just like becomes as the equation 1, it comes like A is equal to xb. And if we have to find out the value of this b, we are going to take the inverse of this X matrix and multiply that with the A matrix. And what we did here, same we did here. That is U1, V1, U2 comes to become equal to 40 into 10 raised to power 3 multiplied with the inverse of this global matrix into this matrix here, which is 60, 90 into 0, this load matrix. And after you take the inverse of this matrix and multiplied it with the load matrix, you will find out that the value of the U1, V1, and U2 comes out to be 10 to the power minus 3 into 1.5.67, 2.25, and 4.17. Once we have these values of the unknowns, that is the displacement, that is U1, V1, and U2, we are going to substitute these values into equation 2 to find out the values of the reactions. that is P2x, P3y, and P3x. For these, find out these reactions, we are going to multiply these values of the unknowns with this a part of the global stiffness matrix, and you will find out that the value of the reactions comes out to be minus 80, minus 60, and minus 10 kilonewton respectively. As in case of trusses, we usually have the member forces that are either in compression or the tension, and we do not have any shear force or bending moment in case of trusses. So we will find out the values of the member forces for the truss structures. So for member forces, we can use two approaches. First one is that for the member A, you can write these submatrix, that is P1AX, P1AY comes equal to K11 times U1 V1 plus K12 times U2 V2. And these values of the K11 basically the values of the first three elements of the element stiffness matrix, that is 1 0 0 0, and here it is indicated here, that's 1000 multiplied with the value of the u1 v1 which we calculated in the last step, plus k12 which is the value of the elements different matrix A in the second matrix, that is mentioned here as a k12, which is minus 1 0 0 and 0. It is multiplied with the U2 and V2. The value of U2 comes out to be 4.17, which we learned in the last steps, while from compatibility, we know that the value of V2 is 0. That we applied here in the compatibility in the last equation as well. And once you simplify these matrices, you come note to that the value of the P1x comes out to be minus 60 kilonewtons. The other approach that R.C. Hibbler uses, he states that the member forces can be calculated by using this relation as well. He states that member forces in member A, that is PA, becomes equal to AE over L into minus C, that is negative of cos theta minus sine theta cos theta sine theta, multiplied with the displacements of the nodes of that member, that is u1 v1 u2 v2. So the value of the A over L is given as 1410 raised to power 3. Value of the cos theta for this member will come as 1, so it will come as minus 1. Value of sine theta is again 0, value of 1. And the value of the unknowns we have already found out in the last steps. And once we solve this simple matrix, as it is a singular matrix, so it will come as minus 60 kilonewton answer. You will get the answer directly. So either you can use either this approach or you can use this R.C. Hibbler approach. In both approaches, you will reach to the same answer. And then we are going to repeat the same values of the procedure for the member B and for the member C as well. Once you know the value of the forces, then we are going to show it in the form of the final diagram, that we know the value of the displacement, that is plus 5.67, the value of the u1, the value of the u2 as well. Positive means that our truss is going to deflect in the positive directions here. So once you know the value of this u1 is minus 5.67 positive, so our truss is going to deflect in the positive x-axis. Similarly, you are going to generate the values of the u2 as well and v1 as well, and then we are going to indicate the values of the reactions as well, that the node 3 comes out to minus 60 and plus 90, while at the node 3 it comes out to be minus 90 or minus 80 kilonewtons. And also you are going to indicate the member forces you calculated in the last steps, that for the member A it comes out to be 60 kilonewtons. Positive indicates that there is a tension in the members, so you are going to put the arrows away in the member, or 2 you are going to put the members arrows towards the joints. And similarly, you will find out the member force in the member B is 90 kilonewton. It is again in tension, while there is a 100 kilonewton compression force in the member C. This is called as the final diagram. So this is basically the end of the question. So let's have a quick recap that what we did in this question. That first you need to identify the number of the nodes and the number of the member forces, and number them and in the ascending orders, and number the members in the alphabetical orders, and decide your axis, because your axis indicates the location of the theta, that whether you are going to have a positive angle or the negative angle. Then you are going to find out the values of the element stiffness matrix for all members. And once you write down the element stiffness matrix for all the members, then you are going to assemble them and to form a global stiffness matrix. Then we are going to use the stiffness equation, that is called as P is equal to KD, followed by the application of the compatibility, where we apply separate the knowns values from the unknowns. And once we separate the values knowns from the unknowns, we are left with two equations that are much easier to solve, because in the actual we have a member or the matrix of 6 by 6. Now it reduces to 3 cross 3, so it is easier to solve such matrix. Then in the last step, we are going to find out for the by the application of finding the displacement and reactions, and the member forces will be find out. Once we know the value of the member forces reaction and the displacement, we just display it in the actual diagrams. So that's all for today. For the stress structures, I hope you will get a better idea once we solve find out the more practice and solve the more problems related to this method for the trust structures. In the next lecture, I am going to cover the problems or apply the direct stiffness methods for the beams and the frame structures. If you have any question, you can ask me. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.